Question of the day: what's your favorite teaching tool as a game? Regardless, it could be something historical like Twilight Struggle. It could be any of the games that we play that involve maybe tactile teaching, things like Rhino Hero and certain things like that. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite teaching tool element in a game is, or a game that is used as a teaching tool. For instance, what was that game, the number 9, or if you stack the numbers on. I haven't played that in years. Great game, but definitely a teaching tool for logic and things like that, because today we're talking about a game all about learning the elements. Yes, the elements on the periodic table. No, I'm not great at this. I already struggled with this because I did great in high school except chemistry. It was the only class I didn't really do great in. I don't know why, because I love it. I find it fascinating. Breaking Bad's phenomenal, right? But anyway, not what we're talking about. Today we're talking about Insight the Elements. This is a game, small box game, came in Tom's box of games that I get every once in a while. All about learning the periodic table of elements. It's a game of games, but it's more than games. It's a teaching tool for learning the elements, which is wildly important for a lot of people growing into STEM fields and stuff like that. So let's take a look at Insight the Elements, come back up, talk final thoughts. Alright, so here's Insight the Elements setup. Now it's several different games made up using the periodic table. Now notice the highlighted ones here. Those are what's on the card. Now there are two ways to look at a card. You have the front side here, or the back side, which is a little clearer reference. Still kind of tells you which side of the board it's, or I say side of the element table it's in, but this side's a little bit more for learning where the actual position is on the periodic table. The first game is called Quick Pick. Now this is essentially you're going to pick one of the blocks here. That would be this one, this one, this one, or this one. You're going to take the top card. So let's say we use this one. You're going to take the top card, flip it over, or well, move it over, because depending on which way you want to look at it. Anyway, you'll move it over, and now you're going to instantly look and see which of these match. There will only be, I think it says, any two cards in a block share at least one common element. The first person to call it out will take the single card. So for instance, lithium, I believe is what it is here. Yeah. This side's easier to see, obviously, because they're named. So you would use this side for younger people or learning more. But here, we see that lithium is on both. So boom, I called out lithium. I get to keep this. You're going to do this until somebody has the most cards. Now that's Quick Pick. That's essentially just a brain trainer for picking more. The next thing you can do is literally set one card out here from each one and then shuffle up the rest of them and give everybody a couple cards to your heart's content. Again, this is more of a trainer one. You'll then shuffle up the rest of the cards, and everybody will have a hand of cards, and essentially from the top of theirs they will have to find a match to this. So here we have CF, so boom, there's CF. I've discarded that. Then my next top card would be here. I say CF like I don't know what they are. Heck, I probably should study this a little more. Technetium right there, number 43 matches. So then we would discard that. Person who runs out of cards first is the winner. So that's the second game. Again, very simple training games, but those are the two fast competitive games. Here's a relaxed cooperative game. This one's called Team Zap. Essentially, you're going to be doing this together, working as teams, zapping just like that. Chain Link is the one that gets cooperative but strategic. Essentially, this one's going to be more of a peg game from the Cracker Barrel. You're competing against a score based on how well you did. The way you set it up is you pick a block. So we're going to use this block specifically. So our cards in here, let's get it out there where it's not as shiny. You're then going to deal everybody 2 to 3 cards. The person with the most period 6 elements names the first element. And essentially what you're going to be doing, you're going to be picking a match. So names an element, sulfur on the central card, creating the first match. So in our example down here, we would say technetium. Now you could then only match, the next person can only match a card out of their hand if they have it in the same group or period, which is the column or row. Essentially, it's a fancy way of saying that. So ours would work, technetium. Yeah, so technetium would also work. Also would work would be BH here would be barium. Barium would also work because that would be in the same row or column as that. So we would close that just like this and put that there. Now we'd have to pick on this row or this column as well. So we can move it over with, or actually this card would work here. If you ever get into a place where it can't work, you're going to have to draw cards. And when you draw cards, you're also going to have to discard a card at the end of the game based on the amount of cards you've discarded. You're going to check the score sheet and see how you line up with these famous chemists over the years. So there we go. That's how you play all the different variations of Insight the Elements. But really and truly, it's a teaching tool because it comes with all of these references for the different blocks, when they were discovered, who discovered them, where, and all that sort of stuff. Some of the different things about solid, plasma, gas, liquid, all this sort of stuff. Teaching tools for everything you need to know about the periodic table, which is pretty doggone important. First and foremost, I will say for a game that is meant to be kind of a teaching tool, it actually looks pretty. Like the element, they did a good job making the element. It's basic. It is the elemental table. That's all it is, periodic table of elements. But they did it in a way where it looks nice and nebulous and cool. It could have been flat and boring and look like something you'd get out of a teacher kit circa 1997, but they didn't do that. They opted to make it look more like a game. And yes, it is technically a game, but really and truly, it's more about learning the elements. So I can appreciate that. The individual games themselves, clearly there's an age scale range for these. You're going to play some with younger kids, you're going to play some with older kids. But here's what I recommend. First and foremost, this game is needed in every single science class in America. I'm not just in America, but all over the place. And I mean that because it really does, especially chemistry style classes, it really does teach these elements. It teaches their place, and as you learn their place, you're learning things about the elements. You're learning their, atomic numbers. You're learning their density. All that sort of stuff comes in from just learning its position on the table, hence the importance of the table. This game does a really good job with that, of teaching you where they are and what the elements are, all the different types of elements. There's so many elements that I don't even know what they are, as you heard me butchering some of the pronunciations there. So, interestingly enough, the games are striated based on age. You're not going to play them all with the same kids. You're not going to play them all with the same people. This is not unless you have a certain niche group, this is not a game night party game. You're not going to sit around and go, oh, let's play Inside the Elements. But it is a learning game that you can use in classrooms. So if you're a teacher, if you know someone as a teacher, especially science, this one is a way to get games into your classroom that is 100% sanctioned. Like, this is absolutely a very much teaching tool for the elements. So this could be something that after, if you get a little free time, yeah, you guys can play Inside the Elements. Like, it's really good for that. So am I clamoring and chomping at the bit to go, let's play this tomorrow night instead of Gloomhaven? Heck no. Or, Ankh or whatever. But it's not meant to be that. It's meant to be a teaching tool. So can I give it a rating of an 8 out of 10 for being a game? Absolutely not. But I'm also not going to knock it for being something that it's not. It's not pretending to be something else. So this review is kind of wonky, kind of weird in that sense that it is a game. Came in my box of games from Tom to review. But I'm not going to knock it for not being something that it's not, if that makes sense. So when you see the score later, you'll kind of know what that is. So all that to say, if you're a teacher, if you know someone as a teacher, or if you're maybe in homeschool, holy cow, this is a homeschool's delight, right? Check this game out, get it, look at it, all that sort of stuff. Fun, interesting way to learn the periodic table of elements. I'm Brian Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, etc. at Dice Tower Brian. Until next time, I'll see you.